All right, now I'm getting to the top 7 worst Keanu Reeves films. And I could make it 5, but I wanted to throw in a couple more films. Now, if I expanded this list, if I made it like top 9, top 10, there's a couple of other ones I would definitely throw in there. For example, The Prince of Pennsylvania that I reviewed. And it's just a bad comedy. You know, I was kind of surprised that I wasn't more ranty on that one. Where you have Keanu Reeves, his character in the film is a misfit. His father is played by Fred Ward. Amy Madigan's in the film, yeah, from Uncle Buck. And Amy Madigan and Keanu Reeves, they have a relationship, but Keanu in the film kidnaps his father because they don't get along. Bonnie Bedelia is in that, I forgot. And it's just a very awkward, bad comedy that people will be like, what's that? Exactly. No one's heard of The Prince of Pennsylvania, but it is on YouTube, so that's how I was able to watch it. But yeah, that's a bad movie. Replicas, it's bad, but it's forgettable bad. And like I said, if this was a longer list, I would definitely throw those in there. Those 2 films. But get into the top 7 worst Keanu Reeves films. And it's just my top 7. Starting at number 7, yeah, Thumbsucker. This film is a try-hard, unfunny indie film. Napoleon Dynamite didn't have this film's budget, and that's a funnier movie. And it's also an indie film. This film, our main character is addicted to sucking his thumb, and you have these other characters that surround him, like Vince Vaughn, Vincent D'Onofrio, Tilda Swinton. Keanu Reeves, his character in the film, is a dentist, and there's a couple of scenes where he has conversations with our main character, and it's just it's a try-hard, unfunny, overrated indie film. And I don't get the praise. I don't get the 2 thumbs up from Ebert Roper and all these awards right here. I just don't get it. What's funny? And what's great about these characters? Keanu Reeves, he's barely in the movie. Again, he's this orthodontist character that it's like, is this character in the main character's head? Like, what is this about? Because Keanu Reeves is giving him like weird advice and, tell him to go think of a happy place. And the main character closes his eyes. Next thing you know it, he's in the forest petting a deer. And a couple of weird scenes where, Keanu's on a mountain bike. The main character jumps in front of him with a sign, holding up a sign like this. And Keanu veers off and goes off a mountainside. And it's like, again, it's 20 minutes into the film. I wanted to turn it off. I'm like, okay, this film's going nowhere. And it tries so hard. And I don't get the high marks. I don't get the 6.6 in IMDb. I'm like, I'd much rather watch Napoleon Dynamite. That's a funnier film that's also indie made. And it didn't have this film's budget. So Thumbsucker, while the other ones are worse, this to me is overrated. I hate Thumbsucker. So, number 6. The Day the Earth Stood Still remake. A crappy, lousy remake. Keanu Reeves, his performance as Klaatu is very wooden. And you can tell that Keanu doesn't want to be there. Same director of Doctor Strange. So, of course, Doctor Strange I enjoyed. I don't know what he was thinking with this movie. Jaden Smith, his character, you got one scene where, where the government is after these characters, and Jaden Smith gives away their position, and they're running away through the woods, and Jaden Smith's character stops, sees a helicopter, and he's like, we're right here. And I'm like, Keanu, throw this kid, the character, into the creek, leave him behind in the woods. You don't need this character. And Jennifer Connelly, and it's unfortunate because You have a good cast. You have some good actors in there, like Kathy Bates, John Hamm, Kyle Chandler, Jennifer Connelly, John Cleese. But it's just a very lousy, lame, forgettable remake. Some bad CGI, and Keanu's performance is wooden as Klaatu. I'm like, I want to check out the original. You know, this remake is just the epitome of lazy. So that's number 6. Number 5, which is actually the second film that I reviewed, Flying, aka Dream to Believe. And it was a rip-off, you can say, of Flashdance. And what's that actress's name? Olivia Diabo. I think she was in Conan the Destroyer. She's the main character in the film. And again, it's pretty much a rip-off of Flashdance. And, you know, Keanu, he's the boyfriend in the film, but he's barely in it. Very early role for Keanu. This is probably right after Young Blood. Or it may have been before Young Blood. IMDb, I think it says after Young Blood. And, you know, it's very cheap, and the music is annoying. Especially, I remember the one scene where the main character goes into this warehouse, and this cop shows up. He's kind of hiding in the shadows a little bit. But at first, she doesn't see the cop. And then she turns on some music. You know, she brings a radio or whatever. She turns on the music, and she's doing all this gymnastic stuff, like, you know, doing flips around the warehouse. And then the cop comes out of the shadows, and he's like, "Yeah, you got it." I'm like, man, this is bad. It seemed like a TV movie, and it's nothing against TV movies. There's certain TV movies that I like. Definitely not the next one, which I'm about to talk about. But Flying, I know it's an early film that Keanu did, but it's just a bad, and that's another one where I'm kind of surprised that I didn't go more, you know, crazy on, because it's a bad Flashdance ripoff. And again, it's on YouTube. You know, go check out the first 5 minutes, and you have this very annoying song that comes on, and there's maybe one song in the film that's tolerable, but the soundtrack is very annoying. Flying High, or however that song goes. Yeah, Flying is pretty bad. Damn. That flying got to me. Number 4. Damn, Flying. About to choke talking about these movies. Number 4. Under the Influence. TV movie he did back in the day with Andy Griffith, where Andy Griffith's character is a drunk, and he can't stop drinking alcohol, and it's just a very bad, painfully dull TV movie. And these movies are making my nose itch. Andy Griffith, I didn't grow up on the Andy Griffith show. I know he was on Matlock. But in the movie, Andy Griffith's character, again, he's a drunk, he's an alcoholic. Keanu is his son that's helping him run the store, like a hardware store. And there's a couple of scenes where Keanu's trying to get him off, you know, alcohol, but Andy Griffith, his character's a dick in the movie, and again, it's a TV movie. And then by the end, you know, his character succumbs to alcoholism, and because Keanu felt that his dad mistreated him or did him wrong, at the end of the film, Keanu takes a shotgun and shoots up his grave. You know, he just got buried, and Keanu's character takes a shotgun, rifle, whatever it was, and shoots up his father's grave. And I'm like, man, this is bad. It's just a really bad movie. And that's another one that I think got like a 6 point something on IMDb. I'm like, why? This movie is painfully dull and depressing and boring. Andy Griffith is a dick. I'm sure he was nice in person. I'm talking about his character. His character's an alcoholic, and Keanu Reeves at the end shoots up his grave with a shotgun. Under the Influence, to me, is painfully dull and depressing. Number 3, Babes in Toyland. Babes in Toyland is really bad. And I know there's some people out there that said, oh, I saw this back in the day when I was 5 or 6. And that's fine. I mean, I get that. There's a few people out there that like the film because they saw it back in the day. And, you know, they remember certain things about it, like Pat Morita. Yeah, Mr. Miyagi's in the film as the toy master or the toy maker. And, you know, really annoying songs. I mean, like the Cincinnati and, you know, which a lot of people saw in that video. That's a very annoying song. Because right after they sing that song, you know, they're singing the song about Cincinnati, and like they hit a tree, and then Drew Barrymore's character, young Drew Barrymore, yeah, she's in the film, Drew Barrymore, she pops out the back of a Jeep, out of the back. Like, she's in the back of the Jeep, they hit a tree, and then she flies out the back, goes down a mountain, and it's like, did her character die? And then all of a sudden, she's in Toyland. And you see all these people in bear suits and frog suits, and I'm getting ready to bust out laughing because the movie's insane. And I saw the shortened cut. I did not watch the 2.5 hour cut. Yeah, there's a director's cut out there that I believe is on YouTube as well. I'm not watching that. Do you think I was watching that? Did you really think I was going to watch the director's cut? No. Babes in Toyland is a crazy, batshit, bad movie with really annoying songs, and Keanu singing about Cincinnati. Drew Barrymore, young, very young here, which I remember, you know, information. I was reading some information about that film, and around this time, Drew Barrymore was dealing with some personal stuff, like with alcohol and drugs. I'm like, you know, that's unfortunate. And Keanu, he's embarrassing in this movie. And the way Toyland look, and then Pat Morita singing in the film, he sings. Then you have this one creature in the film with an eyeball. It has like one eyeball, and Drew Barrymore, to fight off the creature, she paints over his eye with black paint. So, yeah, Babes in Toyland is crazy. It definitely belongs in the top 7. Number 2, Siberia. This movie is also very dull, and it makes you think like it's sort of John Wick-esque, but it's the very opposite of a John Wick movie where Keanu's character is a diamond merchant, and he goes to Siberia, picks up a girl, he falls in love with this waitress, and for every scene that she pops in, and like, I think I watched this like a month ago, and it's still fresh in my mind. I don't know why. But every time the character would come on the screen or would share a scene with Keanu, she wants to have sex every time. So there's like 5 random sex scenes in the film between Keanu's character and this waitress. And no action. It's really dull. And then Keanu's character dies in the end. You know, he's in the forest, and he's in this, like, all these people are after him. You know, where he's in this cabin in the woods, forest woods, whatever. And then his character gets killed, and then suddenly the film cuts off. A very abrupt ending where Keanu's character dies. And I'm like, man, damn this movie. Siberia sucks. It's definitely his second worst. It's number two on my list. This is very recent. 2018, he did this film. And again, it makes you think like it's a John Wick type of movie. That's the end of the film right there. Which I know I spoiled, but I'm trying to save you. However long this movie is. Give me a runtime. 105 minutes, an hour and 40. Yeah, that's the only time. The only bit of action is in the end. Where he's in this cabin in the woods, and he's being surrounded, and his character gets shot, and he dies, and the movie cuts off. It abruptly ends with this character on the ground. And I'm like, fuck Siberia. Siberia can suck it. I don't know why Keanu did this movie. This is right after John Wick Chapter 2. Why, Keanu? Why? Yeah, Siberia is pretty bad. Number 1, which I did a whole rant on, has to go to Knock Knock. As bad as Siberia is, and I know it's getting bright, as bad as this is, Keanu's performance in Knock Knock, I mean, he's embarrassing. If people say it's so bad it's funny, okay, fine. But his character's such an idiot. And like I said in my review, he's a dipstick, ding-dong milksop, and a moron. That I'm like, just be like Paul Sheldon. What would Paul Sheldon do? He would fight back, and his character was in a wheelchair. You're being an idiot, Keanu. Being, easily seducted by these two women. These two psychopaths. And, I mean, and then you got lines where he's tied down in the chair, and he's being tortured, and he's like, you both of you sucked my cock. It was free pizza. Free fucking pizza. I'm like, calm down, Keanu. Calm the hell down. I'm like, why did Keanu do this movie? I did a whole rant on Knock Knock, so if you want to go check it out. But that is definitely, yeah, again, as bad as Siberia is, as bad as Babes in Toyland is, Under the Influence, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Knock Knock, again, his performance is definitely Nicolas Cage level. And yeah, I mean, his character being buried up to his neck with a gag, and then when the two chicks, put the phone down in front of him on the ground, and he's watching himself get raped on Facebook because of the blonde chick. They had him tied down, and they raped him, molested him, and he's watching him, he has the phone right there in the ground with his head sticking out. And he's like, it's just, you see go see clips. And then these two characters, psychopaths, to get no comeuppance. No comeuppance. So, I mean, again, I did a whole rant on that. You can check it out. But that's my top 7 worst Keanu Reeves films to me. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Keanu-thon, and I'm ready to, do other things here. I'm kind of Keanu'd out here. But thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.